If you're in the middle of your story and you're thinking about quitting or you're wanting to give up, the word of the Lord for you today is simply this: the storm has its purpose. It's not that I think that God plans all of our storms, but I certainly think that God will use all of our storms. He will use what you are going through, and he will bring meaning and purpose if you'll look a little bit deeper. The first reason why I believe that God lets us go through storms and the purpose of the storm is that storms make you realize you're not in control. The scripture says that he sends the disciples in the boat to the other side, and that little passage right there, Mark chapter 6, verse 50, immediately, let me see it. I don't have it right there. Mark chapter 6, it says that they were straining at the oars. I don't know if you guys can bring that verse up. They were straining at the oars with all of their might. I love that picture because here's this picture of these disciples trying to get to the other side, but as they put all of their effort, as they put all of their energy, they are unable in their own strength to get there. How many of y'all know it's one thing when you fail and you didn't really try? It's another thing when you put your heart, your soul, all of your focus into something and you came up short. These disciples are doing everything they possibly can in their effort to get to the other side. That's what Jesus had promised them. That's what Jesus had told them. Jesus said, get in the boat and go to the other side. They're just obeying. Isn't that amazing? You can obey Jesus and it can lead you into a storm. I think sometimes we're like, oh my goodness, if I just follow God, everything's gonna be perfect and easy. Read the words of Jesus. A wise man built his house on the rock, and a foolish man built his house on the sand. And when the storm came, the wise man's house stood strong and the foolish man's house collapsed. Did you catch it? Wisdom doesn't prevent storms. You can be wise. You can be educated. You can be at church every week. You can do all the right stuff and still have to face a storm. I don't get to control it. All I get to do is prepare my spirit and my foundation for it so that when the wind does come and when the rains do come, this house, it might bend, but it's not gonna break. And some of us in this room today, we need to be reminded we are not in control. And it's only in a storm that you realize, oh, wow. I'm telling you, you can have all the money in the bank account. You can be educated. You can have the dream job, dream girl. But all it takes is one little storm. All it takes is a phone call from the doctor. You have cancer. I don't care how healthy you are. I don't care how many sit-ups you can do. You can't stop cancer. I don't care how much resource you have. There are certain things that push you back and go, I'm not in control. But there is something about our God that he loves it when we realize and we are reminded we are not in control. The scripture says that there they are. They're straining at the oars. You gotta love Jesus. Jesus leaves his place of prayer and he walks out onto the water to them. And these guys go, oh, it's a ghost, which is hilarious because the only thing worse than being in a storm is having a ghost in your storm. This is a bad day. It's a ghost. But it's not a ghost, it's Jesus. It's not a ghost, it's Jesus. But they're in the storm, right? They're dealing with the financial pressure. They're dealing with the breakup. They're dealing with the heartache. They're dealing with the addiction. They're dealing with the pain. We got all these things that start clouding that we can't see Jesus. And the rain's coming and the wind is blowing and it's dark outside and I can't see Jesus. I can't see Jesus. And Jesus is coming to help me, but I don't feel like help's on the way. I'm scared. I'm trying to row. I'm trying to get there. And all the while, Jesus is looking right at them. Old preacher one time came through and told a story, said the house was on fire and the father came home, and when he got home, he saw his little boy up in the window, and the little boy was standing in the window 2 stories up, and the smoke is rising, the place is on fire, and the dad shouts out to the little boy, son, jump. And the son's up there, says, Dad, is that you? The dad says, yes, son, jump. And the son says, but Dad, I can't see you through the fire. And the dad said, son, I know, but I can see you. And I felt like I wanted to preach to someone today that you might be in the middle of the storm and you might be saying, I can't see Jesus. I hear you, but the good news is he can see you. He's walking through it and he's on the way to you. He sees you. The storm has its purpose. You are not in control. Here comes Jesus walking on water. And when he shows up, sometimes Jesus says stuff in the Bible that you actually have to just let it sink in because it's hilarious. And also it's like, bro, it's not cool at all. That's not cool. That's not what I need right now. What does he do? Walks in the water. Dun, da, da. Take courage. It is I. Do not be afraid. And like, it's funny and it's also kind of like mean, like, bro, our boat is sinking. The wind is blowing. I know, dun, da, da. Take courage. It is I. Do not be afraid. This is fascinating because this is our story. Many times when Jesus shows up, we want him to still the storm. And then we'll take courage. It's not how faith works. Where's all the control freaks? Look at these people. Me, you know? I don't know. You ever interview an Uber driver? Control freak, you know? What's your record, bro? Let me see a license. We're control freaks. We want to be in control. But look at Mark chapter 6, verse 50. This is important. Jesus says, immediately he spoke to them and said, take courage. It is I. Do not be afraid. Notice when Jesus shows up on the scene, he doesn't say, dun, da, da, take control. It is I. Do not be afraid. That's what we all want to do. When we're in a storm, when we're like feeling out of control, when pain's hitting our life, when something's coming our way, our knee-jerk reaction is, I need to take control. But that's not the faith journey. You don't get to take control, you get to take courage. And a storm reminds you, you're not in control. So what do I do, Rich? When you're in a storm, you don't take control, you take courage. Control is God's responsibility. Courage is mine. I'm gonna face this thing head on, believing that the storm has its purpose.